Thank you for recording, Kella.
Thank you. All
Mhm.
right. I think we're
Put that in the
starting.
newsletter. Yeah.
All right.
I can't type tonight.
I love seeing so many people logging in. It's very exciting. I hope that the calendar invite helped you get this meeting on your calendar so that it was a good reminder of the event. I was getting a flurry of responses, yes and no, so I know people saw it. I found that that's a great way to remember important events is when you have it on your calendar. So, all right. We have a little bit of time. I have time built into this beginning part of our program tonight for everyone to introduce themselves. And I'll start. I'm Dr. Kella Price, your ESRAG Central North America Chair, coming to you from Aledo, Texas. That's in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. I'm also president of Rotary Club of Aledo. And the project, the main environmental project that we're working on this year is our We Clean Trails initiative. So once a month we go out there and we clean our roadways and trails. And last month we had an event with a guy that's pretty famous in our local area, Aledo Joe, and our club and Aledo Joe in it about an hour and a half collected over 100 pounds of trash. It was amazing. So my goal is for all the clubs to have an environmental project this year in our region. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
So sharing ideas for easily implementable things would be great. All right, Enid, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm Enid Jones, president of White Rock Rotary in Dallas, Texas. We have a long-term project that we didn't call environmental. We have cleaned a section of the lake, White Rock Lake, which is a pretty famous one, for about 20 years. Every second Saturday of the month, and we include volunteers like some of our high school students who got scholarships or who were sponsored for Rilo. That's been going on for a while, so much so that we didn't think of it as anything special. So I thought we'd look for another environmental project, but in fact, we have had ours, and we'll keep every second Saturday we're there unless the park says, oh, we're having something or the weather is bad.
Awesome.
Hi, yeah.
And I just sent you a message so that we can add those cleanups on the We Clean Trails Dallas-Fort Worth chapter page to get the word out about that. Karen.
So what do you want? Me to put more detail?
No, well, yes, if you want to put some detail in the chat, let's connect offline so that I can get that on the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro page.
Okay, all right.
Karen.
Yes. Yes, well, I think everybody knows me. I'm past chair, Karen McDaniels. I am living half the year in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm with the Denton Noon Rotary Club. And the rest of the year, I live here in Costa Rica, which is where I am now, which is probably the most environmentally perfect environment in the world. Where I'm living now is a totally 100% clean circular economy. We recycle everything. We recycle our water. We bring in solar. It's a really great experience to live here. But back in Denton, I wanted to share also some other news with you folks. You may remember our member Mike Weaver. He was a pretty regular person in our chats and our meetings. Mike has been extraordinarily ill. He fell ill in early June and has just 2 weeks ago been released from the hospital. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. They're still trying to figure out the right kind of medication to keep him stable. But we miss him, and we will hope to see him back on our monthly ESRAG meetings as soon as he's able to come back. And I see Mike Gorley there. Hey, Mike, Dr. Mike, good to see you. Glad you're
Oh,
on.
hey, how are you doing?
Okay.
I'm driving in a car, but I'm so sorry to hear about Mike Weaver. I was going to try to, you know, dovetail off of his lithium ion recycling.
Yeah,
plan.
they're not even letting him have any social media at this point, so it's pretty
Yeah.
serious. But
we
as soon as he's back, I'll let Kella know. Yeah.
If anyone has his address or contact information for people to send him a card of well wishes, put that in the chat. We're going to move on to the next person because we have a lot of people here, and I want to give our guest speaker tonight ample time to share her passion. Rosalie.
Yes, I'm Roz. Everybody calls me Roz. I'm with the Rotary Club of La Crosse in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and I am launching the largest Operation Pollination project in the world with the help of Chris Stein. And we are having our launch next week, Thursday. We're going to do a photo shoot showing all the partnerships. We've got Rotary, we've got Mississippi River Parkway Commission and National Heritage Areas, and then a number of pollinator organizations. And Chris has just been instrumental in making all this happen. And then the photo that we take will show Lake Onalaska and the Minnesota Bluffs, and that picture will go all the way up and down the river. I thank Chris for helping make my vision happen.
That is awesome. Please
Hey,
share
Roz.
as you launch that project. Please share your photos with Tanzine so we can get that in the newsletter, please, and thank you. Chris.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Stein. I'm with the Twin Cities Eco Club up in District 5950 in Minnesota.
And is your club doing any projects?
I put it in the chat.
Oh, perfect.
I'm also the ESRAG lead for the Pollinator Task Force.
Awesome. Thank you. Rob.
Hi, I'm with the Mitchell Field Rotary Club in Milwaukee. We are not currently doing anything, but we've got some uncovered parkland that needs some flowers. So I might be getting a hold of Roz to see how things are going, because dead grass and wild trees aren't cutting it in St. Francis.
Thank you. Marilyn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marilyn Farrell, and I am from the Rotary Club of Cypress Fairbanks, which is just outside of Houston, Texas, District 5890. And right at the moment, we don't have anything going. I've got several things in mind, but we're just I'm kind of a newbie and just checking in to see what else is going on in the country.
And Marilyn has a whole bunch of stuff for pollinator gardens that I passed to her that I got from Chris. So Marilyn, you can hook up with Chris if you decide to go ahead with that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Bernard, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself?
Yes, good evening. I'm Bernard. I'm with Rotary Club number 1. That's where it all started, in Chicago. In my district, in a neighboring club, it's called Naperville. There's a Rotarian. He probably got the first ESRAG global grant approved 2 years ago. He just switched, when it was all new, and it's $110,000 in India, in his hometown, where the President-elect Stephanie visited the site in December, and the place is now in operation. They're converting PET plastic bottles into chips and sell them with a astronomical markup or profit. And in addition to that project, an hour away from that town, district governor, a past district governor from the Netherlands, is setting up a plastic recycling factory where they're making plastic bricks out of plastic garbage and also roof tiles. My engagement right now, I'm part of a small committee. We try to focus on 5 to 9-year-old kids, mostly from plastic waste pickers, and try to help them to understand how to handle plastic waste smarter. And we do this and we target African countries and also in India. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Stanley.
Yeah, Denton Club, Rotary. I just learned about, I don't have enough details about 1 to 2 or 5 acres of pollination garden in Southern Illinois with the University of Illinois Extension Service. And the report are how crop yield has been improved. I'll try to find out more detail on that. But I was kind of interested that the Illinois Extension Service had made such a commitment. So I thought that was neat. But otherwise, we also had the Wildlife Fund contact our network. And so the question I have for the group is, in invasive species, which are all over the place, is there a priority of which invasive species to focus on in the face of climate change? I've been mulling that question over. Maybe somebody has a good response to that question. Thank you.
That would be a great thing to put as a poll. Maybe if you set up a poll, we can share a link in our next newsletter to do a little bit of research on that.
Yeah.
Paul.
Hello. Paul Meekin, St. Paul Club in Minnesota. And the big news we have is on just Tuesday, just 2 nights ago, we kicked off a climate or environmental team. So we had a speaker in from Clean Energy. If you know about them, they're this wonderful local nonprofit that's been working in clean energy policy for 30 years here in Minnesota and nationally. They came in and spoke, and then we introduced the idea of a climate or environment team, and had some takers on that, which I'm excited about. And our first 2 projects will likely be the lithium ion one, which we're just getting more information on, and then also clean up the Mississippi River kind of down in a certain part of town that we're focusing on that. So early days, but very exciting that we're going to get something going.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Gorby.
Okay, I'm from Palestine, Texas. I'm the president-elect. I've been attending ESRAG for a couple of years now, but we don't have any projects going. I did get a commitment from the board last Tuesday that try to do a project a year, and I'm going to present a couple of options to the Interact group. But I'm here to expand my consciousness and get a lot of ideas.
Awesome. Thank you. Mike Finney.
So yeah, I'm one of the bunch of mics here. I'm from the Justin Rotary, the Champions Rotary out of Justin, right here in DFW, Texas. So we've got to clean up, but what I've been kind of pushing the last couple of months since I've really heard about ESRAG from Mike, who I hope somebody sends some addresses and something we could send some cards to. Unfortunate that he's going through that, but glad he's out of the hospital. What I'm spearheading is talking to large commercial and residential solar EPCs, trying to get a good amount of donations so that we can do the Habitat for Humanity homes and donate solar equipment and installation for those homes once they come to fruition. So we've already got kind of ESRAG already has Habitat homes and a vision to put solar and make them as clean as possible. And we're just trying to get a bunch of large companies to know about that. So gone to the ACES convention in Boulder, Colorado, a couple months back, and then I just got back from Vegas at the convention there, the RE Plus, and told probably 50 people there about it. So just trying to spread the word, and I'm excited to hear our guest speaker.
Awesome. Thank you. A little fun fact about Habitat for Humanity. When I moved from Arizona to Texas and I had a whole wall in my garage of half-used paint cans with still good paint in them, I was able to repurpose and donate those paints to their building projects. So leaving no stone unturned for reuse, reduce, and recycle. Ken, I'm not sure if there's two Kens or Ken is logged in twice. Ken, we can't hear you. All right. Well, if you're unable to speak, Ken, if you want to drop your info in the chat. Our scheduled speaker today, Sarah Smith, had a medical emergency earlier. So I'm not sure if she is on the call, but we're not going to be hearing from her today because she was headed to the doctors. Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself? I don't know if she's able.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I am Sarah Smith. I am out of Houston, Texas, and I am a late Mrs. Earth. I've been involved with environmental advocacy work since I was probably 8 years old. And then I got serious about it when I was about 15. I got involved because my grandfather had Agent Orange. He had been exposed to that, and I watched him grow up with emphysema. So started learning about that, and then started seeing all the other issues in the world that I decided I wanted to learn more about and be proactive in doing my part on it. So I'm sorry I can't be here tonight to give my presentation, but I do hope to join you all at a later time, and I will be listening in. And thanks for everything that you all do for the environment and sustainability and doing your part for the earth and the world.
Thank you, Sarah. I hope you're feeling better soon. Karen from Houston.
Karen Blakeman. Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourself and what projects, environmental projects your club is doing?
Intermittent.
Oh, okay. I think because it timed out, I think she
problems with my internet.
Okay, no worries. You can drop your info in the chat. All right. Well, thank you for all of you joining us today. I'm really excited to introduce to you our speaker for tonight's program. Again, she's pinch hitting. This is like a last minute. I locked her in coordinating with Sarah when she contacted me and said that she was on her way to the doctors. And so I appreciate Sherelle Howard, Mrs. Earth USA 2023, who is our presenter today. She's a trailblazer and passionate advocate for sustainable STEM education for future generations. As the Chief Executive Officer of the Stetris Group, an esteemed consulting agency, Sherelle has dedicated herself to cultivating beneficial relationships and implementing innovative solutions that propel her clients towards achieving their dreams and reaching maximum potential. With a remarkable track record, she's garnered recognition and accolades for outstanding contributions to the field. With over 20 years of experience in architecture, engineering, and construction industry, Sherelle's achievements led to her to publish the Professional Classroom Playbook and establish the Stetris Group in 2017. Recently, she published the Sustainable Classroom Playbook. Through her agency, she provides professional, unique, and innovative solutions to position clients as industry leaders and experts in their fields. With a commitment to customized strategies and maximum monetization, Sherelle collaborates closely with her clients to transform their dreams into thriving and profitable businesses. Please welcome Sherelle, our Mrs. Earth USA 2023. Do you have slides?
Thank you so much.
To share? Do you have any slides?
No, I don't have slides.
Okay,
wait,
I
let's
will
see.
just
Can-
go
can
ahead
you
and
hear me?
continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I just want to say what an honor and a privilege it is to be here with you this evening, and I am excited. I've had a chance to look over everything that you all do, and I had such a wonderful time listening to all of the great things that you all are doing in your different areas, and it's incredibly inspiring, and I hope more people get to hear and know all about what you're doing. So again, my name is Sherelle Howard, and I have a pretty extensive history of the things that I've done, everything from architecture, engineering, construction, to teaching school, to having now my own company and foundation. And then, of course, being Mrs. Earth USA. So there's a lot of things that I've done. And amazingly enough, all of it comes together under sustainable STEM education, which I'm incredibly passionate about. As a young girl, I've always wanted to be part of the engineering and construction industry. And then as I learned about that industry, I became part of the working world, as it were, in architecture and engineering and construction. I went into education, and I began to learn a lot about the engineering grand challenges. And when we talk about the engineering grand challenges, those are the 14 most important things that the world needs to consider, take note of, and work hard towards solving these issues in order to sustain our planet. And so through teaching engineering in K-12 in high school, I had the wonderful opportunity to bring the two together. So we did a lot of work around how can we create sustainable methods, how can we create sustainable systems by utilizing our STEM technology? How can we use science, technology, engineering, and math to do that? So this has become somewhat of my life's work in terms of how I work with students and then also individuals, because when you work with children and with students, that always infiltrates into the home. Every time I did open houses, parents would come in and say, oh, my son or my daughter came and they talked about this, and we're now implementing composting at home, or now we're implementing using environmentally friendly cleaning products, or just we're reducing the amount of light. We changed all the light bulbs in our house because our son or our daughter insisted that we do so. So, you get a really great opportunity to impact the world through children, because children have such influence and they have such a beautiful view of the world. They want to see it do well. They want to see things flourish. And, there's nothing like a kindergartner telling you that you can fly, right? Now, we know as adults, like that's probably out of the realm of possibility, but the ambition and the wonder of children is something that is completely unmatched. And so with that, I believe that if we are diligent in working with children and teaching them the sustainable methods and how they can utilize their technology, because let's be honest, they're using tablets, they're using phones, they're on the computer, they're playing video games, they want to create apps, they want to do all of these things. And so what if we can teach them to use these things that they want to play with all the time to create sustainable methods for their for the world, for their homes, for our families, for communities, for the world. So as we take a look at the engineering grand challenges, I want to take a moment to kind of pull out a few of them and talk about how STEM can actually support sustainability, because a lot of times we don't really see how the two connect, because sustainability is all about nature and it's about the earth and how we preserve it. And of course, STEM is all of the electronics and how things connect and our internet and everything. And so sometimes it can be difficult to see how the two can connect, but it actually is a very seamless connection. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the engineering grand challenges this evening and how they connect to sustainability. So I'm going to start with clean, accessible water. So imagine a world where every human being, regardless of where they live, had access to clean and safe drinking water. That's the first grand challenge of engineering. Despite this significant advancements in recent years, millions of people still lack clean water sources. So what we can do with STEM is we can provide cutting edge solutions, from developing more efficient water purification technologies to creating innovative ways of harvesting and managing water resources sustainably. And so students have done all types of projects where they've worked with different chemicals in water bottles, where people can take a water bottle hiking and they can take the ocean water or salinated water, and they can change it into fresh drinking water. Everything from that to machines that will purify water, that can pull it from the earth. All of these different machines and the technologies related, that's all STEM. So those building infrastructure and building different types of systems that will allow us to provide clean water. So not only purify the water, but then how do we transport that pure water to these areas that do not have clean water? So those are still different technological systems of pumps and pipes and all those types of things. And so how can we use sustainable materials so that when those pipes break down over time, am I breaking up? No? Okay. So when those pipes break down, over time, it doesn't harm the environment if they're buried underground. But what type of materials can be used that when they do erode or what have you, that it isn't harmful to the environment? So that's just a little bit around providing access to clean water. So if we look at revolutionizing aging infrastructure, now we know every city around the world has buildings that are old. We have buildings that are deteriorating. So it's important that we begin to truly revolutionize our aging infrastructure. In many parts of the world, infrastructure systems were built decades ago, and so they're deteriorating. They're falling apart. They've got asbestos. They've got all types of things that are negatively impacting the environment in a very big way. So STEM can help by creating smarter, more resilient cities through advancements such as smart grids, intelligent transportation systems, even all the way into our building code and how we have to build and the standards that we use, what products are allowed, what types of minerals we can use, and all of that. And then as well as we're looking at our old infrastructure and our aging infrastructure, how can we take those things that are already there? So those old buildings, can we reclaim the wood? How can we remediate a lot of these buildings so that they're no longer just sitting empty, but they're reused for another purpose, so that we're not having to just tear them down and then all of that stuff go into the dump? How can we create a carbon zero footprint? How can we reduce the amount of waste? Matter of fact, the U.S. Green Building Council, and they are the ones who are over, LEED design and LEED construction and all of the type of sustainable construction efforts. The waste is a big issue in construction. And so if we can figure out a way to reuse the waste, not just to reduce it, but also because there's going to be some waste. So let me give you a little example. When you're building a house and you have too much insulation, well, you have to buy insulation. So, in so specific quantities. Well, in the Midwest, there have been a lot of solar tubes that have been implemented in homes. And so what they're a tube that you put into the ceiling of your home, and it basically creates like a downlight in your house, but it uses the sun. So number one, we're winning already because we've got some solar lighting that looks really cool on the inside. But then what I thought was really amazing is they use the excess insulation from putting it in the walls to insulate around these solar tubes. And so they become a site that has zero waste. Finding innovative ways to utilize waste that's on construction sites is also something that's super important. But of course, it takes engineering. You have to know where it's going to go in order to put it somewhere. So that's another thing that I get very excited about. Architecture and engineering is one of my favorite things. And so finding different innovative ways to be earth conscious, to be health conscious, is just very, very, very exciting. So as we move on, I'm going to talk a little bit about confronting climate change. So as we look at confronting climate change, it's probably the biggest issue of our time, let's be honest. The impacts of climate change, from extreme weather events to rising sea levels, they affect us all. And STEM is definitely at the forefront of understanding and mitigating these changes. Climate scientists use STEM to model and predict the consequences of global warming. And engineers develop sustainable energy solutions like wind and solar and advanced batteries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So the more that we can work with our technology to reduce those greenhouse gas emissions, to utilize wind energy and solar energy, those things help. I know at University of North Carolina at Charlotte, Duke Energy implemented a smart grid lab. And so in that smart grid lab, they have these weather models that look at the weather patterns to determine what's the optimum time of day to collect solar energy, and then which days are best in energy, and which days do we need conventional energy from our standard, from our normal, from our standard, energy supply. And how can we put all of these things together? What kind of schedule can we put these things on so that we're using like coal and those different things a whole lot less? And so those things come from working with energy efficient systems. They come from engineers and scientists and technologists that are working to do these types of investigations. And so all of these things, while we don't automatically connect looking at a smart grid to sustainability, those things are very, very, very interconnected. And then just the matter of even smart homes, being able to utilize your device, your cell phone, to control the temperature inside of your home, to control the lights inside of your home, to control your alarm system and the different things going on in your home. Somebody had to write those apps. Somebody had to write that code. And so this is one of the things that I think is very fascinating that our students are very much interested in, is how to use their technology to create more sustainable options. And so then lastly, I really want to talk about revolutionizing healthcare delivery. So, as we have our aging population, there are more and more people that are living a lot longer. And so we have to think about, how do we service our aging population? How do we make sure that they have what they need? How do we make sure that healthcare is accessible to them? How do we make sure that things are tailored to their needs? And how do we make sure that this communication is a complete cycle, a complete circle, in terms of the patient being able to communicate what they need to the healthcare personnel, and then the healthcare personnel being able to communicate what's important to the patients. Well, we used to use a whole lot of paper. Everything was a chart. Everything was a paper. We had discharge papers. We have all kinds of products that, if we digitize even more information, then we use less things like paper, and thereby we don't create more waste. We don't have to cut down more trees. And a lot of times we don't even think about how healthcare, in our healthcare system, and how we utilize things in our healthcare system. How can we be more sustainable? We use a lot of paper and we don't really think about that, but digitizing. So now that we have all of our online systems where you can go in, you can see your shot records, you can see your appointments are coming up. I don't need an appointment card every time I go now. I don't need to go and have them print out shot records to check my children into school. I can just have the email, the digital copy, and I can send it over. These things are helping to reduce our carbon footprint. And while they are small, when we do them over a large group of people, and a lot of people are doing them, this is creating huge impact. And so, these challenges are ambitious, but they are also imperative, and is bridging the world with what we have today and what we will need in our future for future generations. It's about building structures and creating technologies, solve real world problems, and really help to improve lives in safeguarding our planet. And so these things are so, so very important. And that's just 4 of the 14 grand challenges of engineering. And so each one of them is important, and they deal with different parts of our life and our world and the way we live. And so it's super important that we don't just think about how we can manually do things, but then how do we use our technology to increase our efficiency and our effectiveness in providing help and saving our world. So again, thank you.
Yes, we have.
I am so happy to take questions.
We have a few questions. how can we support transportation systems in fast-growing cities like Dallas, Fort Worth to incorporate public transportation?
So absolutely. So there are quite a few cities that are working with like technology. So number one, you can track where the buses, where the trains, and where all of those things are. So we work on it. We work on this in a couple of ways. Number one, of course, the technology to see where these services are. Number two, making sure that these services are available in highly populated areas so that more people can use them. Because a lot of times our public transportation was not always reaching all the areas that it needed to go. But then also, I can tell you from our building and construction side, we're building more walkable communities. So trying to make sure that everything that someone might need is already in that place where they live, and they don't have to use public transportation or conventional transportation to get there. Because even though we're using buses and trains, those still emit greenhouse gases. They're still harming. It's not as harmful, which is great, but how can we create a situation where it's where we're eliminating it even more? So definitely in the construction industry, a lot of cities are moving towards regulations that support, through tax credits and all different types of things, walkable communities.
I love that. Aledo, where I live, is a relatively walkable community. I mean, I can't walk to the grocery store. Well, I could walk to the grocery store. It's about 7.5 miles, but I would have a hard time getting my groceries home. But there are lots of things that my kids could walk to, and our church is within walking distance, and the school is walking distance, and we do have some other things, and it is great, especially when the weather is nicer, to be able to just throw on your shoes and walk to where you're going. Stanley had a comment about he hopes to have a tiny home, 700 square feet with zero net energy from hempwood and hempcrete. I've never heard of hempcrete. It sounds interesting. He says industrial hemp grown in 5 months will reduce deforestation in a small way. I don't know if you want to talk at all about any of that.
So, well, I can talk a little bit about
types of materials.
I don't know about that specific material, but I do know that tiny homes are certainly on the rise, and there are a lot of homes that are being adapted to create net zero energy. There's actually even homes where people have implemented solar panels and different things like that, where they're actually providing energy to the grid. So they're actually getting paid to be a source, as well, because they've been able to create these types of technologies. But tiny homes are excellent. Number one, it reduces waste. It reduces the amount of space that we're taking up on the earth. We get to utilize our more. We're not cutting down so many. So I think tiny homes are excellent. I will tell you that even in high schools, the Technology Student Association, we have competitions where students design tiny homes and they compete against each other for the most efficient design. So this is definitely something that is taking the nation by storm.
Thank you for that. Do we have any other questions? I didn't see any other oh, here's one. What are some environmental engineering STEM activities to incorporate into workshops with youth? Because some of us are working with Interact clubs, and my Rotary Club, it launched this year. Matter of fact, tomorrow is our first one, a Rotary Spark Club with 4th graders. So I'd love to hear some activities.
Oh, yes. I'll tell you, one of my favorites is solar ovens, where you get to make s'mores. So you get all of the things to make s'mores, and you create a solar oven. You use foil and cardboard to kind of build a solar oven, and then you can make it into a competition and have groups to see who can make the best s'more, if you will, to melt that marshmallow, melt that chocolate, and have a great snack. So that one is a lot of fun. I've done that with some students. I've done some water filtration activities where you get a bottle of water, it's dirty, you have some pebbles and you have some sand and you have some of these different natural elements that you use to try to purify the water. And if you do it right, you can actually drink it when you get done. I've done that with some students. And of course, teaching high school with boys in football, they always want to drink the water at the end to prove that they did it the best. So that's a really great activity. Another great activity is creating solar cars, creating like little matchbox cars. And then you can create a little motor with a battery. And then you can also get little tiny solar panels that you can use to help to power. I'll get the information and I can send it over, but you can create little races of solar power cars. I'm not sure if you all have ever used hydrogen fuel cells, but they have some really small hydrogen fuel cells that students can use, where it takes the hydrogen, the H2O, like the hydrogen and the oxygen, and it splits the two to create a capacitor where it stores the energy to power something. So using hydrogen fuel cells is a lot of fun. Let me see here. Some other activities would be there's lots of little creating an app. So creating apps is fairly easy these days. Students can go right onto, like MIT has a great website where students can create apps, and so having an app creation competition, that's really fun to see how they can create systems. And systematic thinking is very helpful for students when they're trying to think of like how you recycle, how do things go from one state to another. That's a very exciting opportunity. And then one of my absolute favorites, trash to treasure. Get a whole bunch of trash. You can get cereal boxes, Capri Sun boxes. Obviously, I have children. Everything is related to kid stuff. Toilet paper rolls, paper towel rolls, tape that's not quite as sticky as it used to be, or, so any type of thing out of it. Also, the cardboard carnival, where you take cardboard and you create a carnival out of it. All of the old cardboard that gets thrown out, create carnival games and create a really fun, exciting event for kids.
I like it. All right, next question. With STEM for sustainability approach, change makers and leaders learn to use technological advancement to help half or reverse climate change. Do you have any thoughts on this and an outlook per your opinion?
Let's see here. I'm going to read that one more time. With STEM for sustainability approach, change makers and leaders learn to use technological advancement to help half or reverse. Okay, so when you think about climate change, let me think here. So when we're talking about reversing climate change, in terms of like easy solutions, I don't know that there are a lot of those, but there are different so there's different systems that are being created to help understand what's happening and how like global warming is affecting like the ice cap, so that they can predict when a lot of these things are going to happen. So global warming is happening whether we like it or not, right? It's not really anything we can stop. However, what we can do is prepare for what is happening. So if we're using our technology to sort of look at trends, look at historical data, see how things are progressing, then we can help prepare the different areas of the world that are going to be impacted. We can help provide resources. We can help to make sure that people understand, okay, if the ice caps are melting, where is the water going? Is it going to flood your area soon? You might want to consider moving or any of those type things. And then also, as we are building, as we are moving throughout society, how does what we do affect or enhance or positively or negatively impact how we experience global warming. So let me give you an example. If I'm building and the top and my roof that I'm going to put on this building is black, if we're already experiencing global warming, my building is going to be that much harder on a more consistent basis. So it would behoove me to use a white roof that's reflective, because I know that it's getting warmer. So then I can help mitigate some of that warming. So I believe that for us, it's more about how can we help to affect how we experience that climate change.
Thank you.
I hope that
Thank
helps.
you again. So Stanley has a question. New white paint by Purdue reduces heat gain. Do you know anything about this? Your thoughts on that? This will be our last question as we wrap it up.
I have not heard about this yet, but that's right on target, because you can reduce heat gain with white paint because it's reflective. And then depending on the chemical makeup, if they make it a little bit thicker, so then you create somewhat of a barrier of resistance, you can further reduce heat gain as well. Because then you're just looking at like the U value of it, or the R value, resistance value of that paint. So if it goes on a little thicker, creating a thicker coat, then you can certainly reduce your heat gain.
Thank you. It's like when I lived in Arizona and I had my black car, it was not a good choice. A lot of people had white cars. And when I got a new car, I chose white because it made a difference for sure.
It does. It does.
Thank you again, Sherelle, Mrs. Earth USA, for joining us today and sharing your experience and education in environmental STEM. We have another great speaker for next month, so I hope you join us next month. Let me look at the calendar to give you the exact date. We will be, the third Thursday is October 19th at 7 p.m. So this month our time was shifted just slightly because I had another event that ran until 7:30. But we will resume back at our 7 p.m. next month. Our speaker is a friend of mine, Dr. Joshua Sebree, that I'm actually met cycling across Iowa with Team RWB. He's an associate professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at the University of Northern Iowa, UNI. He received his BS in chemistry from the University of Kansas and his PhD in physical chemistry from Purdue. From 2011 to 2013, Dr. Sebree worked as a postdoctoral fellow at NASA Goddard Space Flight. While at NASA, Dr. Sebree studied the atmospheres of other planets and moons. And then in 2013, he began work at UNI, where his primary research focus in the fields of astrobiology and astrochemistry. He's a super smart guy. His study is the characterization of primordial environments. Since 2019, Dr. Sebree has been bringing teams of undergraduate students to Wind Cave National Park to explore how the cave can be used to better understand environments on other planets and moons in the solar system. So he spends half of his life probably in the caves doing things that I can only wish to understand. But he is going to talk to us about his research and the things that they're doing. And I've seen pictures of some of his cave exploration, and it's really cool. And he's basically, when he goes down in the caves, he's looking to answer the question, how do we study the potential for life in space without going to space? So he'll be talking about how they're looking at the cave as a way to study and find a potential for life elsewhere in the solar system and understand the tenacity of life and the extreme limits of where it can thrive. And he finds some really cool stuff down there. So I'm sure it's going to be a really exciting talk, and we're all going to learn a lot there. So Please join us next month for Dr. Seabree when he comes to speak to us. If you have a speaker, I sent out the link for the Sign Up Genius. Have them sign up to come and chat with our group and present a program so that we can all learn from them. I appreciate everyone coming tonight. This session was recorded, so you can certainly share it. One of our goals for the Central North America ESRAG is to grow our membership. So please invite a guest to come next month so we have even more people in our group to learn and support on how we can become more environmentally sustainable. They do not need to be a member to attend one of our educational programs. They don't even have to be a member of Rotary to join ESRAG. So we would love to share the knowledge, because knowledge is power. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.